I was attempting to record this on the camera, but the camera is out of battery and I can't film anything, which is really, really weird. So I apologize if this is very soft. Um, I realized the last video I never really talked about what my movie is about uh, because, well, when I talk about it, I tend to go off into tangents. Just ask anybody in my class. Um, but basically it is a fantasy quest movie because those are the ones I enjoy the most, and I thought, why write something difficult for a school project when um, this is my first script. Well, technically I've already written the script, but I get to rework it, reimagine it into the way I actually see it after getting feedback and things like that from the people in my class. It's about this girl who, first time she allows her curiosity to get to the better of her, she winds up stuck in another world, and she has two choices basically. She can either stay in the dungeon where she is and then get executed, or when the princess of that world sort of kidnaps her, she can choose to go along and help her, because through helping the other girl, she gets to go back as well. It's got um, well, slightly more than that. This is the script I worked on for my undergrad final year project. But in that original script, in that original premise, there were more characters, more complications. So the original script had a lot more characters, a lot more people. And the world I created was pretty simple and not maybe not it was just a world. It was just another world. Magic existed in that world, and that was it, you know? And the quest the princess goes on was, well, what I had done was that I'd made it such that she needed to face three challenges: the mental, a physical, and what was the emotional challenge? Yeah. So, but for this one, I'm thinking of stripping that away, and it's two girls setting out to save save a world basically, and they have to rely on each other even though they both don't really like each other, they don't know each other, and they're so different. And, well, I didn't want to do the romantic element kind of a thing that I can write in prose usually. I know prose better than script writing, and it's going to be hard enough trying to keep myself from having my characters ramble, because that's what I do. I ramble. Even when I'm writing, I ramble, and it works for me. But this is a script. Scripts are focused and intense, and you can't really go into character thoughts. And it's a challenge. It's going to be a challenge, but it's going to be fun as well. I hope. What I want to do now is, I've got some ideas for the world. I know I'm going to bring in Indian mythology, like I mentioned the last time, but I was thinking that everybody does. Well, when people talk about Indian mythology, they talk about the destroyer, and well, that's the basic thing people talk about. Kali, because she's known as the destroyer, and Shiv, and so it's like it's more the destructive side of Indian mythology, and I'm a bit fascinated by Ganga more than Kali, because it's something different about that. Also, the whole Salem witch mythology about how they used to execute um, accused witches. You um, attach weights, and if they sink in the water, then they're not a witch. But if they float, then they are, and survive, then they are. But in this case, I'm planning to flip the execution thing. If they sink, then they were guilty of what they were accused of, because the goddess didn't save them. But if they rise and they survive, then they've been favored by the goddess. But nobody has been saved by the goddess in like 100 years or something. And so the goddess is going to have elements of Ganga, of Durga, possibly of Parvati. The whole mothering type of thing, and then you bring in that mythology, weave it throughout the story somehow, because I'm hoping to start it with a voiceover, um, and then the world has been written about by the main character's boss. Not that she knows it's her boss, but yeah, okay, that's a whole other thing. But I have to figure out my 10 plot points by tomorrow. I know my inciting incident. It's her curiosity getting the best of her and her getting stuck. I know my first act turning point. It's her making that choice that okay, I'm trusting you to get me out of this execution. I will help you. You get me home. But what is the worst thing that can happen to her? Is it them losing faith in the possibility of them surviving? Is it them getting captured again? I don't know, and I have to figure that. I mean, obviously, whatever plot points I come up with tomorrow can change over the course of the year, but I don't have that idea yet, anyways. And okay, it's freaking me out a little, just a little. I'm freaking out because I haven't written anything for Bunny in a really long time, and I'm sad because I want to write. And then I also want to restart Frayed Ropes, and well, that's got a whole new angle to it. And the title's changed. I like the new title. Um, and thank God I'm not trying to write even one of the novels I want to write this year. That will be next year. Next year is NaNoWriMo. Next year, working, depending on how, whether I'm still here next year. I hope the volume is better for this week's video. I have to fix a date for filming. Probably it's going to be Mondays because Mondays are good. I have an hour to myself, an hour or so to myself, where I can film. And once I get used to the camera, I have this little table at the side uh, that, well, if I stack a couple of books, put the camera on top because I am way too unsure on how to use the tripod, and I don't want to try. I don't want to try that because that's just going to be confusing. Actually, maybe I can do that. Next week onwards, I'll try working with the camera, which should make sound better, video better. Never mind that like 3 people are watching this. I am watching this, and this is my notes for my exegesis. This is gonna help me while I research, while I brainstorm, and if I end up using this blog as also as a way to, well, occasionally I'm thinking about posting videos of me outside. I mean, vlogging outside is going to be weird, but it doesn't necessarily have to be vlogging. Um, well, we're going out this weekend, and we're taking the camera along, and I'm going to take a couple of videos and see whether anything nice to post it, because trying to incite a couple of people to come down here to visit, because I've been here for a month and I miss home. It's 2 of us here, 2 people, and after coming from a house with too many people, this is just weird. And yeah, I spend a lot of time on my computer. I do that at home as well, but I miss people. I miss going out for coffee with my friends. I don't have friends here. I mean, I have acquaintances. I have the husband's friends. I have people I could be calling friends, but I don't actually have their numbers because they don't live in the city. All the people I go to class with don't live in the city. They're all older than me, and while it's great to be able to discuss writing with people, okay, I have to find people in New Zealand who write, who read, who watch the shows I do, who basically need to find a New Zealand Bhavna and Vandana. Or you guys could just come here. Like, seriously. On the bright side, I've read quite a few books since I got here, and I got the entire Gemma Doyle trilogy for $14. All 3 books. $14. One book's like $13 in book depository, and I got it for 14. 3 books. I still freak out about that, and I've started the first book, and we'll see how it goes. I want to quit Once Upon a Time because that last episode was the stupidest shit ever. Whole rant that does not belong in this blog. So world building has to be a thing. Researching the genre. Next week that's due. I have to do research on the genre. It's fantasy, right? It's a fantasy quest story. What I'm supposed to do for next week, we're supposed to email in, is find first do a bit of research on the project. That's 1 page, and that is fine. I've done that. I did that last year, and I can possibly rework that. And then what we have to do is what is fine. Do films and sort of analyze them. One should be a one of the better films in that genre, and one should be one of the not so great films in that genre. And while I've seen a lot of fantasy films over the years, I like movies, so I go into a movie, and if I come out and I enjoyed myself, even if it's a really shit movie, I'd just be sitting there going, yeah, it wasn't bad. So suggest something, please. A good fantasy film, a bad fantasy film. What you think I should watch over the next week, or something I've possibly already watched, would Stardust consider would be considered fantasy. I haven't seen that. I want to see that. But most fantasy films are based on novels, and does that work? You know, so many questions, so much confusion. Bad excuse to watch movies. Like, I just finished. I just got up on Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, and it's better than Once Upon a Time is now. It started off okay. The CGI sucks. The CGI really, really sucks. But I got invested in a character I really shouldn't have gotten invested in, and then I got invested into more characters I really shouldn't gotten invested in. I just should not get invested in. I just should not get invested in characters. They all die. Characters I like either get shat upon by fandom, or they die, or they're shat upon on the show by characters, by writers, by the show, by the plot, and then they die. Yes, I am talking about Neil Cassidy. Yes, I am bitter. I'm gonna go now. Help the fantasy films. Help the research. No, the research I will do myself. If I have questions, I'll call someone. But fantasy films, please. Advice. Thank you.